Hello, good morning, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining the GeoSolutions webinar related to MapStore, where you're going to learn about what it is if you don't know about it, but also what's new in the new release. This is part of the series of free webinars that GeoSolutions has been doing the last year. We hope that we continue doing these webinars so you can know what's going on with some of the open source software that we support, like also GeoServer and GeoNote. So we're going to do a presentation for about 45 minutes, and we're going to allow 15 minutes. We can go a little bit beyond if needed. So you have the opportunity to interact with the key developers of MapStore. And that's always, I think, one of the best parts of these webinars is for you to have the opportunity to ask questions and know more about our products that we support. So I'm going to first talk a little bit about GeoSolutions for those of you that do not know who we are. It was founded in 2006 with offices in Italy and the US, and always based on supporting open source for geospatial. And we provide various types of offers, enterprise support services, where if you have already installation or you want to do an installation of the products that we support, we can help you optimize it, etc. There's also a subscription where if you have already, for example, your server MapStore deployed and you want to have a guarantee that if anything fails, there are some issues that can be fixed, then you can provide a subscription or purchase a subscription where you can get a number of fixes fixed per year. Customized solutions from any type of user interfaces that you want to develop very specific to your organization, and professional training. We have more than 200 clients worldwide. In the US, we have about now 15 clients since we opened offices last year, so that's also very good. And we support a lot of different industries, which will also help you in and when you have a problem, we can also relate to other industries or similar customers that can better help you, help us guide you through what is the best architecture, what is the best solution based on our experience. We strongly support open source, and we are very much engaged with OSGeo. So we are part of several boards. We attend the FOSS4G meetings. We support them, and also OGC members, where we participate in different working groups. And we most of the times get funded in the test beds and pilots because as part of what we do, we want to advance our tools. Again, MapStore, GeoServer, GeoNote, to be very much well behaving with open standards, and in the process also advance them in the way that we think they are practical. So we take care also of that part to provide feedback to the OGC membership about what is feasible to implement or makes no sense, for example. And USGIF, so we support GeoInt, and we have run several training material with there. Also, we support the meeting every year. We are one of the companies that have I think most developers that are providing support for open source, and we have lead key developers of the products that we support. And I'm not going to read this, but we are the key developers of a lot of open source that can help you if you are in if you already have open source geospatial software, or if you want to move towards one. And this is our list of key members. And I think that's it. Now, Tobias and Lorenzo, they are going to talk about MapStore, what it is, and the new, and what's new. So you get more information about this WebGIS platform. Okay, so Tobias.
Okay, can you hear me? I'm Lorenzo.
Lorenzo.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. Fine. Can I start?
Yes, please. So I'm going to stop sharing, and then you can share.
Thank you. Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes, good.
let's
Sorry,
start.
sorry, sorry. I'm going to say something else. So at the end, we're going to have questions. So you can provide your questions via Zoom now if you want, or as we go. And we're going to take them in order of the way that you provide them. So don't wait until the end. If you have questions while to be answered during the presentation, please be free to put them in the questions section. Okay,
Okay,
that's it.
okay, great. Okay, thank you. So let's start. First of all, I present myself. I'm Lorenzo. I'm the team lead and one of the core developers of MapStore. And for those who are new to MapStore, what it is, um, basically, MapStore is an open source WebGIS application and framework. It's both an application and a framework at the same time. It allows to create and share maps, charts, dashboards, and stories online. It has modern characteristics like using React, that is one of the most modern libraries of these days, of these years, and support mobile and various layouts. And you can customize the look and feel and the tools that are used, and consumes many data from many sources, so WMS, WFS, many of OGC, many of them are OGC services, and as a simplified BSD license, so also commercial friendly. I said it's both a product and the framework. What it means, I said is a project is a product in the meaning that you can download it and you can install on your server and create a project to customize the look and feel and use the tools as it is. So it's basically it's an application that allows to share maps and other tools. But it's also a framework, so you can use it as a starting point to build your own application using the core plugin and developing your own, customize all the parts of the style and use it as a JavaScript library as it is, or using also the backend on your choice. It's made of many pieces that can be composed in order to create your application. This is a small part of the list of MapStore user we helped. They use MapStore as a product or as a project with some customization, or in their integration in GeoNode or in GeoOrchestra. So each level of personalization they needed is implemented in many use cases. For instance, MapStand, some of them are MapStand, that is a platform for tracking energy activities with a lot of graphical customization of the standard tools. Here there is a portal for the city of Brussels that they created some of the custom plugins for their own purposes and some customizations. Then Austrocontrol used MapStore. Austrocontrol is an aero navigation service provider, and they used MapStore basically as the main product with a few customizations. And also, for instance, the Arno River Basins Authority that used MapStore almost as it is, without any customization. The city of Genova is another example that has some customization and with custom pages for their own purposes, and some integration with their own authorization and authentication system that is for public administration in general. For more information, there are many resources on the web you can consult. You can check the demo online. You consult the user documentation or the developer documentation. Take a look at the GitHub repository and so take a look at the code. and or watch some YouTube videos on our channel, or subscribe and write on the mailing lists. There are two mailing lists, one for users and one for developers. What's new in MapStore in this release of MapStore? The release 2021.0.01.00 has been released January the 25th, and is the first release of the series 2021.01.xx, and this series will get two more releases, mostly with bug fixes and or performance improvements. And the main features of these new release are many. One of the most cool one is the annotation tool that has been totally redesigned in order to provide an improved user interface. You can now you can turn on and off annotation or zoom on them directly from the annotation main view, and you can edit the wall annotation selecting it. You can edit geometry, style it in the same panel. So this speeds up a lot the editing and simplifies the work. Also, you can add multiple geometries, edit title and description, edit geometry coordinates by hand or clicking on the map, and styling with many options with markers or colors or line styles depending on the type of the geometry. Another main feature is the visual style editor. This helps the user to create the styles for WMS layers, so interacts with the REST API of GeoServer and some backend services to as the old SLD CSS editor did, but this time we have some graphical tools to help the creation of a style in a few clicks. You can switch between the textual editor of SLD or CSS using a button for refinements if after you edited, for instance, your style with a visual tool. Anyway, the visual tool provides a lot of different rules. One of different rules typed. For vector layers, for instance, there are marker rule, icon rule, line, polygon, text rules. Each rule will take a card here in the below in the list, and where you can configure various options that change from type to type, and cards can be dragged up and down in order to define the priority of a rule and the order of the rules, as you do in SLD, but graphically. Each card contains also a possibility to add a filter in order to apply the rule only on certain condition of the feature. For instance, a field equal to a value, or you can even force the rule to be used only at certain resolutions. You can so select a minimum scale and maximum scale where the rule is applied, or both, or we can define also, of course, filter and resolution constraints in order to apply the rules. Each rule has several options depending on the type, and it uses the SLD service extension of the GeoServer in order to generate some color classification. For instance, you can create a simple style that when you customize, of course, lines, and colors with a simple color and a simple color for the border and for the fill of the geometries, for instance, for polygons. But you can also create a classification using this plugin extension for GeoServer that allow you to create color scales or color classifications. Here in when you select the classification, you can select the attribute to use, and for instance, an numeric attribute, and then you can choose the method and the color ramp, and it will generate automatically a set of rules, one for each color, and for the intervals, applying the method on the real data on the database, for instance. You can select the number of intervals and change the method in order to define the classes, and you can customize also the intervals by hand or the color by hand at the end of the process if you want to refine more this color scale. For points for points, you can create also icon rules and mark rules that basically the difference is that one is an image online or served by GeoServer, and another mark is a predefined shape, and you can customize some of the properties in order to identify the points. The same mark and icons can be used also as patterns, pattern mark style or pattern icon style in order to fill a polygon. So you can define a rule that fills a polygon with a mark, for instance, lines or points or some, or an icon. So, for instance, this car. Finally, the text rules allow to add labels. You can select your own, write your own label by hand, or select an attribute to use to get the string of the label, and customize font color, font size, and other advanced option to display this icon, this text. For raster layers, we have a raster layer rule that allows to do some minor some customizations. If you have the WCS, you can also work with RGB bands and do some contrast enhancement and on different channels. Or if you can even create ramps, color ramps, and for raster data, and selecting the method and the intervals, as well as you did in the color ramp of the vector layers. And that's it for the vector style editor, visual style editor. Another new tool is the export tool that allows to export data, vector and raster, from the backend in various formats you choose. There is a WPS download service that have to be provided in order to use this tool. Otherwise, this tool will softly use the WFS services. And it will be limited only on vector features. So if you have this WPS enabled on your GeoServer and you connect MapStore, you will see when you click on the tool, when you select the layer and click on the tool, you will see one of these two windows, depending of the type of the layer, and that allow you to select the file format depending on raster or vector data. This list can be customized in the configuration of the plugin, and various options depending of the type. Raster layer can select quality and compression, and for vector layer can select also the projection and some cropping functionality for both layers. You can even crop the data on the current viewport. When you start the download from this tool, clicking on export, you will see in the footer of the application a button that lists all the pending files that are going to be generated on the server and provided for download. At the end, you will see this save button, and you can click on it and download your data. Last but not least, in the major features of MapStore, we have the compare tool that allow you to compare one layer with the others in the map. When you select, you can activate it from the table of contents by clicking on the layer, selecting it, and clicking on the compare tool here. When it's enabled, you will see this split screen. On the right, you can see the layer you selected, and on the left, the rest of the layers without these layers. So you can drag this bar in order to resize the two sections. Opening the little menu near the button, you can see you can switch from swipe view, that is this one, into the spyglass view mode that allow you to move the mouse on the map and see the layer in a small circle as it is a spyglass. And you can configure it, the tool, in order to configure the radius of this spyglass, or if you want to, or if you are in swipe mode, you can select this if this split screen should be horizontal or vertical. So horizontal will show a horizontal split that you can drag up and down. Minor features are not so minor in this release because they are cool too. And first, the first of this list is the reimplementation of the charts for widgets on map and widgets in dashboard in using Plotly.js. The new library allowed us to provide a lot of new functionalities. Now you can have time charts, so you can, if you have a time value on the backend, you can draw a time chart that respects the axis and the interval of time on the x-axis. You have more options in level formatting. Here you can add the prefix and suffix to the, and provide a formatting for the value, and also use a formula in order to scale the value, for instance, multiply or divide by constant. And you can also customize other options of the axis, for instance, the type to force a logarithmic axis. And now the charts support also the WFS only services. So the charts before support needed the WPS process that aggregate. Now the charts works also only with WFS. If the WPS is not present, you will not be able to do operation or aggregation operation, but you will be able to do charts anyway. And you can you're not forced to select an operation now. Another minor feature that regards the widgets is the possibility to add the identify tool in the map widgets. So now if you click on a map widget and you configure it for doing it, you will see the information about the layers here in a pop-up. For then, another minor feature is for the feature grid. we have a possibility to have multiple selections, so select more than one feature at a time. You can append to the existing selection by using CTRL and click, or you can drag, select features by dragging using Alt and dragging the mouse in this way, or you can append and drag, so keeping holding CTRL and Alt and dragging the mouse, so you can append to the existing selection. And the new features you're getting. Here in the feature grid, the multiple selection can be used to edit multiple lines at the same time. So here, when you switch to edit mode, you can edit multiple features, drag as in Excel or other datasheet system, drag the value in order to populate the column with the same column with populate many rows with the same value for a given column by dragging the square here, as you have seen in other datasheet system or like Excel and so on. And you can save all these features as one, at once when they has been modified. Another minor feature, but not so minor, it's the possibility to add bookmarks to the search bar. From the menu, we redesign a little bit the search bar in order to provide an additional menu that allow you to search by bookmark, and when you select these, you can search for the existing bookmark for the saved map. And of course, an administrator can define, the editor of this map can define a list of bookmarks for your areas of interest for the particular map that you can easily edit or delete and manage. So you can create, for instance, a map with a set of predefined areas you can zoom to without using the standard geocoding that may find other results you are not interested to. And of course, we keep the WFS option. So in search service, you can also add a WFS service to search on it instead of having bookmarks. So you can browse a WFS service and zoom to a particular areas from that layer, from that WFS feature. For the identify tool, we renewed also the look and feel. Now you can select a layer from a list on the top, so you don't have to browse all the data to find your own, but you can quickly switch from one layer from the result of one layer to the other. And here there are also some additional tool to quick edit a feature if you are allowed to, or and the other tools that were already present to show the geometry or get more info for the reverse geocoding for the point that you click it, or edit the coordinates by hand. Another feature that we added is the possibility in the layer setting of a WMS layer of configuring the tile size. So if you open this from the table of contents, the layer setting in display tab, you will be able to select the tile size, and this is particularly useful if you optimize the tile or the cache on the backend. If you want to optimize the performance and you want to select a different tile size. for the when you save a map in MapStore, we have the possibility to specify the map details, that is description of the map. With this release, we added more functionalities to this, allowing the possibility to show this detailed map on startup. So as well as you open the map, you will see this information window that is very useful for presentation or to present the map. And you can even you can do it by selecting these buttons, and you can choose if you want to show it in a window, in a model window, or in a panel on the right side.
And we have also improved this for the embedded maps.
Yes.
For the rendering in the embedded maps, yeah.
Yes, it's it works also in the embedded maps with a good style. Yes, thank you. For the about the share tool, we added more functionalities also to this tool in this release, and now you have the possibility to share, to create a share link that provides a marker, so you can, for instance, share a map, zoom at it in a particular point, and with a marker in a selected point, you select on, you can click on the map from this UI and select the position of the point. So it's useful if you want to share a particular part of the map with your colleagues, for instance, a point where you are interested to that you are interested to share. This last thing, this is all for the users. There are also news for developers. With this release, we improved a lot the extension system, and now it uses the new Webpack 5 model federation system. And this provides a lot of facilities for developers in order to develop new extensions for MapStore. Now we have created a simple project to start from it. There is a repository on GitHub with a simple project you can use as an example to start developing your own extension. And this is separated from MapStore now, so you can develop independently without having to build it inside of the most recent version of MapStore, and you can version on your own extension. And now it's easier to test, build, and deploy. You can run npm start to test from the simple project or your customization to test it locally. You have many facilities in order to test also the production ready bundle directly in the sample project, and you have a script in this project, npm run ext build, to build directly the zip that can be dragged and dropped in MapStore in order to install this extension. For those who didn't heard about the extension because they are relatively new, extensions allow to develop a single plugin that can be deployed in a running instance of MapStore. They are particularly useful where you have many instances or of your application and you want to customize and install some extension, or if you have a standard product and you want to develop only your own application separated from MapStore. For now, they need the data directory that are supported only on custom projects for now, in order to keep the extension across the updates. So if you try to install an extension of on MapStore standard, they will be installed in the web app, and on the next update, deploying the new WAR, the extension will be removed. But if you have the data dir that is provided in project system, it can be enabled in projects. In custom project, you can keep your extension across the various updates. For more information about the extension project and how to build the extension, you can see the README of the project. You can check the user and developer guides for the release. There are some links here for both the guides and to see more details about the tools you are interested to, or the development part you are interested to. Now, what you are going to do in the next major release, we are working on many of some improvements for essentially to consolidate and simplify the existing infrastructure. We are working to create a new project system that helps the project maintainers to update project in an easier way. We are thinking about some command line interface utilities to automatically update a project to the newer version of MapStore, and we are gradually separating the core of MapStore from the product. And we are thinking about separating at all and providing the product as one of the projects that can be created from MapStore. These will help to maintain and keep alive also the project system updated and powerful. Once we do it, we will be able also to publish MapStore on NPM packages in order to be used also as a JavaScript library in an easy way.
Yeah, basically the purpose here is to simplify the maintenance of downstream projects and life for the involved developments too, avoiding duplication of configuration files and so on. Okay, so simplifying also the structure of downstream projects themselves.
Yes, exactly. Another thing you are working on together with this is to reduce the loading time on startup by reviewing and reducing the bundle size for JavaScript. And we also want to optimize the build time and the resource consumption during the build in order to make it more easy to develop and the application more responsive.
Yeah, since MapStore is growing up really quickly, we are working on this because it is an important aspect to consider at the moment. So mainly, as Alessandro said, for the bundle management to speed up the loading time and so on.
Yes.
Along with some hardening also. And indeed, we are also planning a reskin of the MapStore UI to improve it by collecting and putting common some UI enhancement we did for our clients and so on. Some specific component of MapStore are involved, and they will be involved initially, like the table of content, for example, in the MapStore homepage. So something like this. But the general purpose is to start improving also the general UI of MapStore. So we are working on this. We are planning that aspect too.
Yes, exactly. Okay, I finished the presentation. So let me see the questions.
Good, Lorenzo. Thank you, Lorenzo and Tobias. So we're going to do this. We have a small poll for questions. So I appreciate everybody to please provide us feedback. I will start the poll, and then we're going to start answering. We're going to try to be brief because right now we have 20 questions, so I'm guessing we're going to have 30, and to provide the best, brief information to all of you. And thank you for using the Q&A. So I'm going to start the poll. And so please provide us feedback, which is very important to us. And then Lorenzo, if you want to start answering the questions.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Let's start from the first. Does the style editor work with WMS services and rendering engines, for example, with map server or only on GeoServer? It works only on GeoServer because it interacts with the REST services of GeoServer. So for now, it works only for that server. I don't know if MapServer has a correspondent service for editing of styles. And it uses
MapStore works on top on the REST API of GeoServer, so
yes.
it's possible to use it only in that situation.
Yes.
So Lorenzo, can you clarify, if I have an external WMS, how do I make it part of MapStore and then customize it?
Sorry.
So if I have an external WMS, so
yes.
the way to bring it to MapStore and be able to customize it in the sense of providing the styles that I want, what will be the best way to do it?
Yes, basically you can select the styles of WMS from the list of the provided by the WMS capabilities. You cannot do anything more on this. You can try to add the WFS data, so there is an internal styler, but it's very basic. So I think that the best way is to customize the style for now is to use GeoServer if you want to use WMS.
Okay, good.
Opera browser does not support MapStore. Are you taking any steps to solve this problem? MapStore is officially supports Chrome and
Firefox and Edge.
Firefox and Edge, yes. For the moment, we have no scheduled work for support Opera browser, but
in Safari too.
Yes, in Safari too. Sorry,
yeah.
We are not. We have not any plan anyway. If you know the issues, you can open the issue on GitHub and they can be taken or from the community and solved it. If they are simple, that can be solved. Okay. First of all, thanks for amazing job you've done. Thank you too. Did you plan to add forms by JSON schema in order to edit attributes in addition to attribute table? Forms could display a complex layout, more readable interface, and it's a lot of attribute. I know I worked on JSON schema in the past, but for the moment there's no plan, right, Tobias? Yeah. For the moment there's no plan. I know this. I know what are they use, but it's a good thing for a custom plugin. Yes. Now, let me answer the other question. Can you tell me if MapStore data access functionality depends on OGC services or other connection to the GeoSpatial database engine, if possible? Basically, the services that MapStore support are WMS, WFS, and WMTS, tile providers with standard XYZ tile URL, and so basically many OGC or OGC standards or other minor things that that are not connection to GeoSpatial database engine, but of course that can be provided by GeoServer itself by WMS cascading or I don't know if there are many features that allow to access to different database on GeoServer, and you can use it as a proxy to do it. This is only an idea. Can I use WMS services provided by ArcGIS server? I don't use it. Of course, WMS is a standard, so they are compatible.
The MapStore catalog tool,
yes,
for which you can find a lot of documentation in our online documentation, works on top of OGC standards, so therefore it is compatible with all servers that are compliant with that standard.
Yes, exactly. Well, that's what I wanted to say. How to setting visual style editor for unique value classification, like categorize it in QGIS. I don't know exactly what you mean in QGIS, but the styler you can select. Let me try it. Sorry, this is documentation. So not here on the demo. So let me get a map, quick map, just to try. Yes, this is not enabled in the demo, so I cannot show it. But basically, the classification can be selected with one only value. I hope I replied the question. Unique value. Oh, okay. Now I understand. No, for the moment it's not possible. So if you want, for instance, have a color for each value, and for the moment you cannot generate it automatically, but you can add it, of course, by hand. Understood. Sorry. Similar question regarding two charts with Plotly.js WFS support. Does this data work also with all WFS service provider or only GeoServer? It works with every WFS provider you want. It works basically using the same standard. The GeoServer is required only for aggregation because it uses a WPS service. But theoretically, if you implement the WPS in another service,
there are only few functionalities, few tools in MapStore that explicitly require GeoServer support, basically. But anyway, for that kind of things. For other kind of things, MapStore works on top of OGC standards, so you can generate charts by interacting also for other kind of WFS services.
Yes.
Not only GeoServer.
Is there any participatory tool which can allow users of MapStore to add new data, for example, directly to Postgres? You can add the data to layers if you integrate the GeoServer users and authorization with MapStore. You are able to edit data online, so you can, for instance, here edit data and of course add the features. You are not allowed for the moment to add layers. There is a plugin that there was a plugin that is not maintained anymore for importing data using the importer plugin of GeoServer, but is also of course
it's not longer under maintenance.
Yes, is not longer under maintenance. Is possible to link features to table widget or map widget in dashboard? Not at the moment. It's one of the interaction that could be cool to be. So if, for instance, zoom. Let me see if I can see if I can find the widget. You think if I select here, you can zoom off particular features. There is the filtering functionalities on table.
I don't know if you are trying to show the MapStore UI, but I'm seeing the presentation now.
Okay, let me maybe I'm sharing the different. Let me share again. Can you see the MapStore homepage now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. There is the possibility to enable filtering on tables and filter the map, but there is no possibility at the moment to select features and see information on them. Okay, I'm getting the question and answer. Disappeared. Just a second. Okay. How different is MapStore from the one bundled in GeoNode? MapStore by itself is an application that has its own homepage and the possibility to share maps, dashboard, and GeoStories. Or manage a context as many features as its own. Some of the features are also covered in GeoNode. So the integration actually integrates only the map viewer and the dashboard, and they are working. I'm not completely sure.
We are working also to integrate GeoStories.
Yes, GeoStory and dashboards. But
this is something recent.
Yes, with of course with integrated with the resource management proper of GeoNode. Are bookmark addressable by URL? The bookmarks are this one. And they are not addressable by URL. I can edit.
At the moment,
yes.
It is not possible.
Yes, you can anyway. Functionality is similar to what you want. Is probably the sharing tool with the bounding box parameter and the sharing link. So you can, for instance, share these.
Yeah, for example, you can use bookmarks to zoom at a particular location and then use the share tool and enable the advanced option to share that map with the current bounding box.
And with the URL generator, you will zoom directly on the point and the position you selected. Is there also a translation for line documentation? Maybe a way to contribute to such translation in French, our case? Not at the moment. We did some experiments with localization of documentation, but we didn't plan it yet.
It is possible to contribute anyway.
Yes,
if someone wants to contribute,
yes.
He can, basically, but anyway, at the moment, the online documentation is only in English.
Yes.
And there is no plans at the moment to translate it. But it is something that will be good, but anyway.
Here's the map info pop-up on start, also available on GeoNode user. If not, how to enable it? Map info pop-up, you mean
the identify, the floating identify, I suppose. The identify pop-up. Identify pop-up mode.
Okay. I think it can be configured. MapStore can be configured at all these parts. So the configuration is probably inside the code. I'm not aware of the recent development, but you can probably, but you have to customize a little bit the code of GeoNode in order to do it. I don't know if they externalize it somehow, the configuration of MapStore viewer in somewhere. If not, you have to. The last time I developed on GeoNode, you had to edit an HTML file in order to customize some particular parts of the GeoNode user interface. Where the
anyway,
annotation...
I'm not aware of on particular configuration that need to be provided GeoNode side. Simply the basic configuration need to be updated to include that plugin too.
Yes, maybe. Yes, I'm not aware about the latest development in GeoNode, but yes. Okay, where the annotation are stored in H2 PostGIS GeoStore database or in the file system? They are stored in the GeoStore database, so together with the map. So when you save a map, say you save also the annotation inside it. You can import or export them on your own file system. So you can create a file and or import your own files in order to import export annotation as well. That's
yeah. Basically, when annotation are saved, along with the map. So
yeah.
as soon as you include one or more annotation in the map and then save the map, and the annotation configuration is stored inside the same JSON configuration of the map inside the database.
Yes. What is the functionality of simple.jx extension.zip? Does it include a tool or in the toolbar, including a map interaction? Click on map. The simple extension is a very simple application that provides some checks and some basic tools in order to define the reducers and the epics and the internal parts that as an example. You can start from it and looking at MapStore examples or extension available on the web that has been already developed in order to understand how to develop the extension. Anyway, the extension as a plugin is equal to any other plugin. So you can look at any plugin you are interested to and to find examples, and you can do the same logic in your extension, and you would be able to create an extension that, for instance, adds a button in the toolbar. The simple extension adds a panel floating here with some checks to zoom, one button to zoom the map.
Basically, the sample
yes.
intent, the sample extension touches the most relevant parts that are needed to interact with the MapStore framework.
Yes,
so, so like as you said, basically reducers and so on, translations and so on. So you simply provide a sample on how to include that kind of resources in a sample extension for your purposes.
Yes, I had to inject also a button in the toolbar. So the question is,
yeah. This is really a simple example. Yes.
The new extension mechanism sound great. Can one easily add a button to the UI for activating a click tool on the map? Yes, many of the extension we did as this behavior. Of course, feature info is active by default, so maybe you have to explicitly stop it. But anyway, you can do it. So a button here can easily activate a tool that catch the click on the map and show results, for instance. Could you briefly compare MapStore against GeoNode? What's the major benefit of MapStore, and what things can be done better in GeoNode? Okay, MapStore has this functionality of sharing, but it's very simple application that doesn't include any explicit interaction with GeoServer, while GeoNode is more integrated with GeoServer, and all the resources and all the layers are synchronized. So when you import a layer in GeoServer, in GeoNode, you can also import layers and import data, things that are not provided by MapStore. MapStore is simpler to install. Yes, for now. And MapStore is easier to install and more independent from GeoServer. And
GeoNode basically is a complete SDI. So
yes, while MapStore is a web GIS basically. Like QGIS, Quantum GIS, but on the web, with all the limitations.
In GeoNode, you can do also other kind of, you can manage also other kind of things like metadata, and so on. So you can import new layers, publish new layers. But anyway.
So a comment on that. So MapStore is right now the default viewer on GeoNode.
GeoNode, yeah.
Yes.
And in the future, all the features that are available in MapStore should be available in GeoNode. I think that's where we're going.
Yes.
Yeah. Of course.
Yes.
We are continuously updating the GeoNode MapStore plugin to include basically new functionalities in GeoNode. Okay, new functionalities developed in MapStore also in GeoNode basically. So all that you can do basically in MapStore can be done basically also in GeoNode. As I said before, now we are also working on integrating some parts, some other kind of resources that before were missing, like GeoStories and dashboard. But anyway.
Okay. How easy is to integrate to upgrade a version of MapStore? Yes, it depends on the working changes. Anyway, in the developers guidelines, there is a migration guideline that helps you to migrate your project from one version to another. So if you start from, for instance, from a version, with detailed explanation of how to update. So if you start from a version, you have to get the developer general guidelines on top, and then apply incrementally these changes in order to upgrade a version to another. Hi, is possible to integrate Django in MapStore? I have been trying to look for this documentation on this, but I have not been successful. GeoNode is developed based on Django, so it's a good example of integration. And if I remember well, the MapStore app. The MapStore part is divided in GeoNode is divided into one is more or less general for Django, and one is the implementation of the interfaces defined in the general module that relies on the model of GeoNode. So it's theoretically possible it's practically because possible because it's integrated in Django infrastructure like GeoNode, but it's theoretically included also in another application because it has a defined interface. Hi, you guys did a great job with these frameworks and support packages. Thank you. I have a few doubts about issues. Can address me. It will be a great help for me. It's a long question. The WMS service styling is not working. Yes. If you have a particular issue, maybe you can try to write on a mailing list, because I think that is longer.
The best place to make that specific questions.
So developers can answer, and developers specified in this can answer.
If you can send an email in the mailing list specifying which kind of problem you have, we are basically happy to provide some support for this.
And for the other parts of the question, you can write, of course, to GeoSolutions in order to get an answer about this. I'm a developer of MapStore, so I cannot answer to the rest of the question. So we can write on a mailing list for MapStore and on to GeoSolutions the rest of the question. Is MapStore using a later build of React.js? If not, how frequently is updated? Of course, we have a lot of libraries to. We try to follow the most recent version. We already has hooks and so on. Not the latest, but we are using all the latest functionalities. For instance, we didn't integrate yet the latest features like if I don't remember exactly the name, but the one that provides waiting until the component is provided. But we are already synchronized on hooks. We increment it as well as is needed. Of course, also to not create too many breaking changes in once, because we have also to take care about the developer things. We try to develop to upgrade as well as it's stable, and as well as and it depends on of course on the time we have to do it, or the funds that are provided for that. Or the contribution from that for the contributors.
The community.
Yes. What is the reason of the using open layers or leaflet path? Okay, leaflet is lighter and it's more useful for in a mobile environment. So if you try to access the MapStore with mobile, you will see leaflet instead of open layers. But OpenLayers provides a lot of features more, like reprojections or working in different projections and other tools. Like the compare tool is done only for OpenLayers. And for this reason, we use both, and it's useful also to keep a general tie between the mapping library and the rest of the framework. That so if one library becomes obsolete, can be replaced with a new one. And MapStore uses also Cesium to provide 3D functionalities together with OpenLayers and Leaflet. How to add the custom UI language translations? Yes, you can. There is a dedicated section in documentation that explains how to. Sorry, I got the wrong part. Translation. Call it. I don't find it now, but it should be there. Working extension layers setting. I think it's in application configuration. It was the last result.
Anyway, you can show the configuration, the related configuration pattern.
Yes. There is a dedicated section in local config, and you can find many information on the documentation about adding languages, and of course there are some JSON file to localize, so you can even contribute to add the new languages and or maintain the existing one, or correct if they are wrong. And
maybe Lorenzo, you are referring to. What is the chat? You are referring to this documentation. Just a second. This one. How to add a new language.
Yes, exactly. I didn't find it. Thank you. Here you can find the detailed guide about how to add the new language and configure the languages.
Also above. Yeah.
Yes.
In the section above, how to configure
yes.
the languages in MapStore and so on.
Yes. I was near. I was getting configuration files, but not the right point in the page. Okay. Next question. This is not a question, but an answer. You can style WFS in MapStore if you load it as a WFS, but using WFS URL provided by your server. Yes, there is. Also, you need the SLD server extension. You can start. Let me understand a little bit more the answer. If you download it as WFS, but using so you can style it both adding it and style it on the map, or are you interacting with this SLD service? Yes, you can do it, of course. Thank you. Hello. I think you missed the question.
Hello, Bernard.
Sorry, I wrote wrong. You need WMS with WFS URL. Okay. Now I understand better. Yeah, I had a little bit a doubt about it. Ben, okay, now I see your question. What you say that extension are now preferred way to extend MapStore instead of creating a new plugin? No, is not the preferred way. Depends on your use case. Extensions, you can easily switch from an extension to a plugin inside the MapStore in a MapStore project or in the core, because they are the same files. You have a plugin file and some actions and users, as the same that you have in the general core or in a custom product. It depends on what you need in your infrastructure. Of course, developing a plugin in a single repository offers the advantage that you can work on the single plugin on its own. Depends on the plugin, depends on the extension.
Yeah, depends on the kind of the plugin also.
Yes, if you have, for instance, a general project, the plugins maybe should be all there. If you have a custom project with many plugins that interact together, maybe the best idea is having all the plugins in the same project. I have seen that there is a MapStore version that is combined with GeoNode. Yes, is MapStore completed replacing the viewer of GeoNode in this combination? Yes, it's completely replacing the viewer. Those maps support the newest OGC API. With the newer, if you mean the newest, the new version of OGC protocols that we are working on integrating on the server, maybe, if I remember well, or at least I heard about that. But MapStore is not yet integrated with them. Also because OpenLayers and Leaflet doesn't support it yet. And we have to do some customization or to upgrade OpenLayers and Leaflet in order to use them. Not sure if vector tiles are supported. If not, is this planned? Thank you. There is an experimental version that is already in the code, but disabled by default. I didn't work personally on that, so I don't know the state.
We are working on this basically to provide the full support, but at the moment is only partial.
Okay.
So for this reason, it is an experimental version, and it is not enabled by default.
Okay. Is there a place where users have or will be sharing their custom plugins? Not yet, because plugins are very, especially extensions are very new. So it's a good idea for the future. There is one or more question. Do you plan to support 3D tiles in Cesium for MapStore Q? Not yet. If you mean 3D, I'm not an expert of
we don't have plan for this at the moment, at least for a short term. In a short term, okay. But anyway, there is something that we have in mind for the future.
Okay. How about limit of feature of the? How about limit of feature at the same times? I don't understand this question.
It is a too generic question, probably.
Yes, yes, yes. I have no idea of what. I don't know. If is it possible? Next question: is it possible to display a style vector tiles in MapStore? Yes, more or less the same answer of before. We have an experiment.
We have worked on this, and it is an experimental version at the moment.
Are you gonna implement the snap options when adding new feature via WFST? I have no idea about plans about it. We didn't it for the moment. Tobia, do you have any?
No. There is not plan for this at the moment.
Of course, the features that are not available can be founded or anyway contributed as developers, of course. I have newbie of MapStore, so if my question is not right, I'm sorry. I don't care about it. If it's possible to design WPS web processing service in MapStore, no, not yet. No, there is not a tool for WPS editing. Only use.
It's a client-side application. So if you have to, if you want to develop a WPS service or WPS process in particular, you have to do it in GeoServer, for example.
Yes. Hi team, the question is about search by location name. I would like to search on in Bing Maps, Google Maps. How I can configure customized search? MapStore search by default on nominative. Bing Maps and Google Maps APIs required some yes, some support on development. Anyway, there is a space for adding providers, as well as we have WFS and
these kind of things are easy to be customized, basically,
yes.
Or it is easy to develop and include that kind of new features in the existing tool.
Yes, you have to, of course, write code or ask someone to write code.
But basically, the tool has been designed also for this kind of purposes. So we did basically for some of our client, we did some specific customization for the search tool. So where we have other specific search services in addition to the default ones. So it is easily possible to develop.
Okay. In the feature info by template setting, why isn't there a text editor that can view source code like TinyMC text editor? Yes, the editor that we are using now doesn't allow to switch between source and
no, at the moment, no.
Yes, at the moment we don't have it. It's a good idea for the future. When MapStore Q supports,
we usually sorry if I interrupt, Lorenzo. Usually, anyway, we collect. We are trying to collect feedbacks from the community and from other users. So I cannot exclude that in the near future, some implementation on that part will be provided. For example, the bookmark implementation for the search service is a topic raised in the past, also in the mailing list, for example. So, and this is one of the things that we have included. So,
yes, don't be afraid to ask for questions that we are interested to your needings. Yes,
we have collected also other feedbacks about this specific topics. So it is probably something that we will do in the near future.
Okay. When MapStore Q supports JSON 3D tiles building, yes, I already answered this question. We don't have to planning buildings and so on, but anyway. Will vector tile supported in MapStore? I already answered this question. And is it possible to configure the search in the search tool that defines PostGIS view directly instead of WFS? No, you cannot connect directly to PostGIS but from MapStore, because you have to basically MapStore interacts with only OGC services to do that, and the connection on the database from the browser is not suggested, and it cannot go over HTTP. So you cannot. You have an intermediate to do that. Oh, I finished the questions. I have something in the chat, but
Yeah, I think
the same questions
yes,
that then
yes,
has been added in the question and answer section.
I was checking, so I think okay. Another last time question. Doctoral student, I would like to learn first customization and how to contribute to the project. Kindly guide me if your organization allows. Okay, as I said, you can write directly to GeoSolutions to propose you as a developer or as or write to the mailing list for ask questions of specific use cases. Okay, so I finished the questions list. Anything else, Louis?
No, Lorenzo, Tobias, thank you very much, and thank you all for attending. We are going to make this available as soon as possible. This is the recording and the presentation, which usually we put in the bottom of the page of the blog where we announce the webinar. So I appreciate all of you, your interest, and hopefully we'll see you in another GeoSolutions webinar. Thank you very much. Thank you again, Lorenzo and Tobias.
Thank you all for using MapStore.
And thank you. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.